And good morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. We are one day closer to our 4th of July weekend. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Do you have anything planned for the national holiday?
Yes, we are going up to Winter Park as a family for a
that's
weekend.
fantastic. Yeah. Good for you. I'm sure that everyone's looking forward to that.
Yeah, well, not necessarily spending time with me, but they're looking forward to actually getting away, but not getting away far enough from me. How about you?
Someone's got to pay the bills, right? Now, I'll be working. Not on Friday. I don't think I'm working on Friday, but I know that I'm working on Saturday. So it will be a pretty normal weekend for me. That's no big deal.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I want to tell you about the Sportsbook Bar and Grill. It's my neighborhood sports bar. They have two great locations. One is in the DTC. The other one is in Highlands Ranch. Highlands Ranch is my spot, my sports bar. I used to go to the one in DTC before Highlands Ranch opened. Outstanding food. They show all the games. I mean, all the sports packages, obviously. Everybody has that. But do all sports bars show soccer when it's on? And I'm talking about overseas, European soccer. They show rugby. They show UFC. The food, how good is it? I do carry out. That's how good it is. I mean, and I've said this before. People say, "Oh, I love the wings at Hooters." Okay, well, good. Go get takeout. I don't know about that. The wings aren't that good. No one's serving them to me the way that I need them to be served. Sportsbook, their food is awesome. Whether it is their burgers, they have so many different types of burgers. My favorite is like fig jam with gorgonzola and a little bit of arugula. Tremendous cheese curds are great. Philly cheesesteak, egg rolls. It's a sports bar that was opened by sports fans. So if you were to open a sports bar, this is probably how you do it. Sportsbook Bar and Grill. You can find them in the DTC, Highlands Ranch, coming soon to Parker. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Here is a phrase that is used a lot, that is used as a dubious title as much as a title that is considered to be serious. Congratulations, you won the offseason. Now, the Rockets, if there's any team that truly won the offseason, it's the Houston Rockets, because they added Kevin Durant. But for what the Nuggets have needed to do, you can make a strong case for them that they have won the offseason. You said on the show yesterday, you can make an argument that the Nuggets did not get appreciably better after day one, based on the players only, not talking about getting under the salary cap. After day two of free agency, are they now appreciably better when you look at their roster? Because you didn't think it was that way necessarily after day one. How about this morning?
Yeah. Without question. I think that in summation, these last 2 days may arguably have been the best 2 days for the Denver Nuggets since they won the NBA championship. Think about that.
Take it a step further.
Sure.
This might be the greatest 2 days in the history of this franchise.
Yeah, might be.
And the reason why I say this is because I haven't been here for every single year of the Nuggets franchise. What I do know is they never won a title before I got here in 2004. So none of that counts anymore. That's done. For the 20 years I've been here, the Carmelo Anthony years, it's not like they made huge splashes, although I'll make a case for two. When they got Allen Iverson, that was a big deal. Didn't really work out. When they got Chauncey Billups, that was a big deal. Huge deal. They finally had a leader on the team. And it showed that having Chauncey Billups helped turn things around in terms of, a bunch of really talented players who weren't really good as a team necessarily. The number one day, Nuggets history or period, KCP, obviously, and Bruce Brown coming in at the same time. This is a better roster today than the championship roster.
Yeah. They are in a so much better place that was hard to imagine before they found a trade partner for MPJ. I wonder what wouldn't you love to know what the market was like for MPJ? How much conversation they had, how many doors they knocked on? Was it the first one? I mean, I don't know these things. It'd be kind of fun to know. I suspect that they felt like it was pennies from heaven when they were able to lock in the Nets on a trade for Cam Johnson.
Right.
On a lot of the levels that we talked about yesterday. But yeah, I would say the two best days outside of winning a championship, and that's just one day. I guess the parade counts as two, but they weren't concurrent, right?
Right.
Consecutive. So yeah, probably the best 2-day stretch that I've been around for the Nuggets, who have reestablished themselves as one of the teams to beat in the West. Now, looking at the odds, this as recently as yesterday, and actually this morning, they are actually the third favorite in the West.
Right.
And the West has 8 of the top 11 favorites to win the NBA championship.
Right.
So, yes, they are better. They have to be better. They've made the moves to be better. And now they are in a position to compete in a conference that, frankly, even getting into the second round and getting to a game 7, I don't think that they were totally equipped to do last year.
Bruce, generally speaking, when I look at free agency or the trade deadline, usually the players swapping teams are not a lot of starters, a lot of backups. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah, no question.
It's names that you know, but they don't make big impacts, generally speaking. So when I look at what the Nuggets did, and let's just take each individual case. When you look at Valančiūnas, Bruce Brown, and let's throw in Tim Hardaway Jr. Individually, none of that is overly impressive to me. Is it really to you? It's more of a who's that than a who's who.
Right.
But when you combine all the forces and then throw in what they did with the trade, it was an amazing haul because they got exactly what they needed.
Yes.
They filled slots of what they needed. They got the right price for everything as well. And they weren't looking for starters. A lot of times at the trade deadline and free agency, you're looking for starters. The Nuggets were in the enviable position of just looking for role players. And boy, did they fill that beautifully with all 4 guys.
You used a term that I think is just right on target. They got what they needed. They didn't try to stretch for anything. They didn't try to reinvent the wheel. On one hand, they believed in what they have as the core of the club. Right. If you believe in the core 4 now, you probably include Christian Brown in that, right? Yep. So MPJ's gone, but you still have the core 4. It's just that Christian Brown assumes that 4th position. Right. But then they went out and they got really what we've talked about a lot over the last couple of years, what they haven't had, what the holes that they haven't been able to fill. And it remains to be seen whether or not they're going to get help from the Strother, Tyson, Pickett group. We'll see about that. But the pressure to hit on one of those guys now has been lifted a little bit. You've got guys coming in. Tim Hardaway Jr. started virtually every game last year for the Detroit Pistons. Now, and the Pistons, by the way, were an improved team. They weren't the Pistons of 2 years ago. They actually improved a little bit. So you are right on target. The fact that they were able to focus on what they didn't have and needs that they needed to have to take care of those holes, that was the key for me to this entire operation of the last 2 days.
When you look at the 4 moves that they made, which one made you go, oh my God, the most? Bruce Brown, I'm going to take out of it because we felt he was going to come back. Tim Hardaway was a pleasant surprise. It's like after you opened all your Christmas gifts, mom and dad walk in the room and say, we're not done yet. We got something else for you. So that narrows it down to the MPJ trade. But then the other one involving Valančiūnas, and that's going to be mine. Because, yes, with the trade, getting under the cap was brilliant. But I got to tell you something. Did you ever think they'd be who do you think would be easier to trade? Saric or MPJ? For me, it was MPJ. I thought Saric was just dead weight on the boat, right?
Yeah.
Who in the world is going to pick up this guy? And then since Jokic has been the center, the full-time center after Nurkic left the team, they haven't had a legitimate backup. And then they get Valančiūnas in return for Saric. And I'm like, oh, my God. And you want to hear the kicker of kickers to all of that has not been widely reported? Valančiūnas has a 2-year deal, right? He has 2 years left on his contract.
Mm-hmm.
He's only guaranteed for one. He's only guaranteed for one. They got everything that they wanted and more. It's kind of like on Christmas, you get this great electronic toy, and in this case, the batteries are included. You're only loaded to 1 year of his deal.
Well said.
You don't have to pay 2 if you don't want to. It's like, can it get any better?
The trade for Michael Porter Jr. was remarkable that A, they found a trade partner. B, that they found a trade partner that they could fleece like the Brooklyn Nets.
Yep.
And they did fleece the Brooklyn Nets. Now, the Nets may have a different perspective on it. Yep. And I know that we're close to it, to things here with the Nuggets. But you can't look at that deal and think that the Nuggets didn't take the Nets out behind the woodshed and beat the hell out of them. I mean, period. But I will say this. The one that left me in shock and awe really was the Valančiūnas deal.
Right.
To get Valančiūnas, the guy that's a 17 to 18 minute guy a night, my jaw dropped.
Right.
I mean, I almost had to do a double take.
Yep.
And because they literally got a really important piece for a guy that was a different kind of piece for the Nuggets, if you know what I mean. So to me, that was the most just head-shaking move of this whole thing. But you got to start with MPJ and finding a trade partner, because pretty much all of this, other than Bruce Brown, and you're right, Bruce Brown was probably going to come back because he wanted to come back anyway. He's coming back for the veteran minimum. That probably would have happened. But the rest of this stuff, no chance without Michael Porter Jr. being off the books for the Denver Nuggets. It just so happens that they made a trade for a player that can be better than Michael Porter Jr.
Right. Okay, let's continue on, because we'll kind of go chronologically in theory in order. So after I heard the Saric thing, and I'm telling you, I say this metaphorically, I almost drove off the road. I was leaving an appointment, and I heard it on the radio. I'm like, they unloaded Dario Saric? Who took him? Now, what in the world could they have got? They got who back? They finally got a backup center back. It's like the stars have aligned. I'll tell you right now, for opposing GMs who may have felt, I got a couple of young kids coming in to run the front office there. Who do we get to take advantage of first? Is it going to be Tenzer, or should we, I don't know, take Wallace behind the woodshed? These two kids have proven to be formidable. I mean, they have earned their varsity jackets in a matter of days, where it takes GMs years, if not decades, to build that reputation.
Eric, look at their depth. I mean, all of a sudden, the Nuggets have depth. We're talking about the Denver Nuggets. The last time that they had depth that you trusted, obviously, was in the championship season. Okay, but they're even deeper now than they were in that championship season. Now, look, this is all going to play out on the floor, right? I mean, we understand that this is still how it all looks on paper.
Yeah.
And all of those things do take a role. Absolutely. We're talking about a snapshot of how things look today as opposed to how they looked 48 hours ago. And there is no one that can look at this now and not say, damn, I am excited about the Denver Nuggets. They are back to being a competitor in the West.
Okay. So let's just do some simple math here. The Nuggets, during their championship run, won the title with 8 players. Is that a fair statement? There's 5 starters.
Yes.
Jeff Green, Bruce Brown, and Christian Brown.
Yep.
They won with 8 players. Okay.
Right.
They've got their 8 players.
Yes.
And none of the young guys are a part of that group. They got their 8. You got your starting 5. Then you have Bruce Brown. Then you have Valančiūnas. Then you have Tim Hardaway Jr. Julian and Mr. Pickett and Hunter Tyson. Enjoy your regular season. Hope you have some nice games, but we're good for the playoffs. I mean, think about that.
But
now, granted,
Eric, it also you're right. Yeah.
Because granted, when you look at Indiana and you look at OKC, they played with 10 at times during the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know if Adelman wants to do that, but if everybody stays healthy and everybody's ready to go for the playoffs, and with the type of depth that they have and the young guys that they do want to play, you're going to get load management by default, right? For your starters. Jokic is not going to – there's no reason for Jokic at all to be playing more than 35 minutes a game on any given night.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah, you're
not
absolutely
necessary at all. So you hope your young guys develop. I'm just wondering, will these young guys develop behind 3 veterans who they desperately want to play?
Well, they still need one of them or 2 of them to develop. But the thing that's great about where they are now you're not forced to try to squeeze blood out of the turnip, right? With one of these young guys. You can kind of allow them, you can feather them in the way that you want, because all of a sudden you've got good depth and quality depth around them. So you're not counting on suddenly a Julian Strawther or a Jalen Pickett to be a guy that is helping you win games. I mean, you're like, we need you to really be a guy. You're part of now a much deeper, talented depth pool that makes the Nuggets a better team, but we're not putting too much pressure on you. It's the best of both worlds. Now you've got some single year deals here, so you've still got to get some kind of understanding of what you have from these young guys. So that still is, to me, a top of the rung concern, or a question that you want an answer to. But in terms of where the Nuggets are, it is quite remarkable, and my hat goes off to them. I not in a million years. Look, I didn't know how this thing was going to work out, but the way that they have gotten to this point is nothing short of remarkable. And congratulations, unbelievable.
Coming up after the break, of the 4 guys they have picked up, who will be the biggest contributor? I will make an argument that a guy that you're probably not thinking about could not only be the biggest contributor to the Nuggets, he might be the biggest, best bargained off-season move of this entire offseason. We'll explain why next.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a pair of Spider Cruisers or over $15,000 in cash the weekend of July 18th, just in time for the Sturgis Bike Rally in South Dakota. That's right, your choice, cruisers or $15,000 in cash. Get finalist entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. to midnight during their daily cash drawing with a locked-up jackpot of $100 or more. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a pair of Spider Cruisers or over $15,000 in cash the weekend of July 18th, just in time for the Sturgis Bike Rally in South Dakota. That's right, your choice, cruisers or $15,000 in cash. Get finalist entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. to midnight during their daily cash drawing with a locked-up jackpot of $100 or more. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
And welcome back. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Nola Jane in the heart of Lodo. No one does Cajun cuisine better than Nola Jane. Go see why their award-winning menu is the best in town.
Okay, so I was on the phone with with one of my relatives who is a huge NBA fan, and he and I were talking about the moves the Nuggets made. I think I've talked about him on this show, talked about him on the radio show. He's a huge Minnesota Timberwolves fan, so we talk basketball quite a bit. He used to work with the Timberwolves as well, and he knows it as well. He's more than just a fan. So we're on the phone, and he goes, "Do you guys know you just picked up Tim Hardaway Jr.?" I'm like, "What?" It just kept coming in. It just kept coming in. Yeah. Just when you thought, trading Saric wasn't the highlight of your day, here comes Tim Hardaway Jr. I've seen the word sharpshooter next to his name. I'm not so sure if I agree with that. No one's truly a sharpshooter when you score 11 points a game and you are hitting 35% of your threes. I call him more of a streak shooter. Yeah, he could bury a bunch in a row. That's fine. But he is a shooting upgrade. No reasonable person We'll deny that. With that, here's the number that stuck out to me more so than anything else. Okay? According to this statistical company, so to speak, Hardaway Jr. made 63% of his open spot-up three-pointers this past season. If Hardaway comes anywhere close to that for the Nuggets, because he is going to be open, he might be potentially, when you look at the value, signed a vet minimum deal too, for what they could get on the court, and then for what they're paying him, he might be one of the best values, if not the best value, in all of NBA free agency, if indeed he's hitting those wide open looks.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that. I think the addition of Hardaway, for the reasons that you just talked about, Cam Johnson is in the top 15% of catch and shoot three-point shooters in the NBA.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. So they've upgraded their shooting without question. And then Valančiūnas, to me, is my interesting X factor, because he brings a lot to the table, but he takes Nikola Jokic off the floor. What is the most hated phrase of the last 2 years are non-Jokic minutes, right? Yep. We all know what that means.
Yep.
The non-Jokic minutes have been the bane of the Nuggets' existence.
Yep.
Anything that gives them a chance to get Nikola Jokic off the floor and keep some tread on the tires from lack of overuse, which he was overused last year. He was. And the guy's 30 years old now. I mean, you got to start paying attention to things like this. But if you can continue to get production from that position, and you're not going to get, the assists and the passing and things like that. But Valančiūnas is a legitimate backup five. I mean, he's a big-time player with a really good skill set that I think will be enhanced playing with this group. I really do. So the great news, Eric, is that we're sitting here talking about 2 or 3 guys that they've added to it for different reasons that really make us excited. Man, you hope that it plays out on the floor like it is on paper, but it's pretty encouraging.
All of these moves were clearly made possible by the MPJ trade, because then they suddenly became flush with opportunities because they had money in their pocket to spend, right?
Yep.
With that, what do these moves say about what Tenzer, Kroenke, Wallace, Adelman think of? Strother, Pickett, Watson. What does it say? I mean, listen, I thought the goal was supposed to be developing these young guys. Let's see if they can play. Or did they completely scrap that and say, yeah, we want to develop them, but that be damned. We have Jokic's window that is open, and we better pour every resource we can in. We just don't have time to wait.
Well, the latter. I think what you just said is probably where they are. Yeah. I think that, look, that doesn't mean that they're not going to invest time and effort. They would be foolish not to continue to try to develop these guys in a more genuine fashion than Michael Malone did. Look, I like Michael Malone. You and I both do. I think that, I mean, he has one of the most exalted roles and legacies in Nuggets history, and that will never change. But the one thing that he just couldn't, wouldn't, whatever the case may be, do is develop this young talent to make it fit his veteran core. And I think that's still job number one for David Adelman. I mean, obviously he's going to try to construct a system that these guys will want to come back to. That's his words, not mine. That I don't think will be much of a problem. The biggest challenge still is getting something out of these young guys to a point where, maybe this time next year, they're not trying to, kind of reinvent their depth. They've got some pieces that maybe they feel pretty good about. Wouldn't that be nice? But Yeah.
Yeah, but when you look at next year, you have Bruce Brown on a 1-year veteran minimum.
Mhm.
You have Tim Hardaway Jr., 1-year veteran minimum.
Minimum, right.
These are almost like prove it deals. Let's see if you get plagued. Maybe you can go to another team and make more money. So I'm not so sure the roster this year looks like the roster next year.
Absolutely.
Just for this reason alone. And again, Valančiūnas, he has 2 years left on his deal, but only 1 year is guaranteed. So let's see what happens there. So maybe they can develop these guys, these young guys, while having the comfort of knowing you have veterans that can play in leverage minutes, veterans who can help you potentially win another title. But I'll say the guy I think gets screwed more so than anybody else of the young guys is Jalen Pickett, because they're now 4 deep at the guard position. I don't know where you put him. If you look at what they have done, the one area where they did not address the bench was the 3 and the 4. The bench, which just happens to be Peyton Watson and Julian Strawther, if they do indeed decide to put him at the 3, or maybe even Hunter Tyson, who is certainly not a 5, but he's not a 2. So those guys will get opportunities after Cam Johnson. It's Jalen Pickett whose growth might be stunted because of this. But the other guys, there will be opportunity for playing to, and then throw in Deron Holmes.
Yeah, Deron Holmes is kind of the forgotten element because we saw him early and then he was gone. And he's an intriguing guy. But you don't have to be as impatient now. Right. You just got to move down the road with these guys, and you hope that you can hit. Like if you can hit on Strawther, let's just say you can hit on Strawther and Deron Holmes. That's a win, right? God. I mean, huge. I mean, if you can hit on one of those guys, you're feeling pretty good about things. You really are. So, and Hardaway does give you at 6'5". He at least gives you some versatility. He's played the 3. He can play the 3 if he has to, depending on who he's matched up against and stuff. So, I think they're in a, it's rare that I say this, but I'm almost ready for the Nuggets to get back after it now because I'm so curious as to how this is all going to look. Right? I mean, I'm so curious to see, how does this look? How does this come together? How does the chemistry work on this team? Can they get off to that quick start that David Adelman was talking about so passionately after the season? We've got to get off to a better start. That means big things come playoff time. So I just can't imagine 2 days that have been more ground shaking than the days that we've had for the Nuggets.
What do you think Michael Malone is thinking right now? Happy for this franchise that, put my career on the map, or are you fucking kidding me? How come you can do this for me?
He might be saying, why is Don Staley getting an interview with the New York Knicks and I can't get one? I have
they clearly don't want him.
Right. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I mean, the difference now is they've gone the direction with Tanzer and Wallace. He was dealing with Calvin Booth, and clearly that dynamic did not work the way that it needed to after they collectively won a championship together. They do have a championship. That pairing has a championship. The Nuggets only championship. Right. But it wasn't sustainable for whatever reasons. And I think that we know what the reasons were. Calvin Booth was saying, hey, here they are, young guys. We're delivering them. We believe in them. You've got to develop them. Michael Malone saying, well, frankly, they don't fit what my goal is for this basketball team. That's an East is East and West is West, and never the twain shall meet.
Nikola Jokic finding out this news, not necessarily by delay. I'm sure he knows somebody who has social media. What is he thinking right now?
I don't know how he couldn't be encouraged at this point.
You want to use a stronger word than that? Would ecstatic?
Ecstatic might get there.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Nikola, without grumbling, griping, bitching, moaning, did everything that was asked of him and more last season with the Nuggets. Showed up, was available, played the more minutes than any time of his career.
Right.
I mean, are you kidding me? He put that team for certain stretches of the season literally on his back. Literally on his back. And so for him now to be able to, and I would imagine, I mean, I can't believe that he wouldn't be excited about all of the guys that have come in. Bruce Brown is an absolute no-brainer. They had a very good relationship during the time that they were together a few years back. But those other three guys, man, are all guys that make the Nuggets better. And Nikola Jokic's only comment after the finals was, we're not good enough to win it. We don't have that kind of depth. Well, they do now.
Okay, so let's look ahead just for fun and put a cap on this. We spent 2 days talking about it, and rightfully so. I don't know if they're going to be making any more moves today. So when you look at the odds, okay, right now Oklahoma City is the overwhelming favorite, as well they should be.
Sure.
And then you have the Nuggets and the Rockets, depending on who you want to bet with, as the number 2 favorite. The Nuggets took Oklahoma City to 7 games with 5.5 players. But for the final 2 games, it was 4.5 players.
Yeah.
Let me explain. Jokic, full player, right? Murray, Christian Brown, full player. Michael Porter Jr., half a player because of his injury. Shouldn't have been playing. Russell Westbrook, full player. There's your 4.5 right there.
Yeah.
Where's Aaron Gordon in there? Well, for the majority of the playoffs, minus the final 2 games, he was a full player to make it 5.5, but then take away the final 2 games of the series against OKC, and now he's basically not a player. Now he's like he's a half a player, for lack of a better phrase. With the way the reinforcements have come in, do you believe the Nuggets can beat Oklahoma City? Or are we so excited that they have a bench now that we're just completely ignoring how good Oklahoma City is?
Oklahoma City is standing still in a very good place. When you're on the top of the mountain, it's a good place to stand still, right?
Right.
They're basically going to have the entirety of their roster back next year. They have a year of the confidence born through demonstrated ability, and they should be an even better team next year than they were this year. And they were clearly the best team in the NBA this year. We can talk about the Nuggets getting to Game 7 with them, and they did. They lost by 27, 30 points, whatever it was. And really the difference between the two teams, even in a 7-game series, was probably not as close as a 7-game series itself would indicate. I'm not trying to take anything away from the Nuggets. It was a courageous run that they made. I give them all the credit that they are due. But the Nuggets have closed the gap. How significantly have they closed the gap remains to be seen. Remember, Oklahoma City did a lot of their work in the regular season where they went out and hid from the rest of the West. Right? I mean, they basically did what the Nuggets did 3 years ago, went out and hid from the rest of the West. Can the Nuggets be the type of team that puts pressure on Oklahoma City and maybe Houston? That remains to be seen how that works. Can they stay in that horse race? Can they be in a position to be rested and to be a high seed going into the playoffs? Because I do think there's value in that. I think that there's importance in that.
Okay, let's look at the guys that they picked up and the guys they currently have. I know this team can score. They brought in a shooter in Tim Hardaway Jr. Get it. Good, great, very good backup for Jokic. They have a better all-around player, specifically defensively, with Cam Johnson.
Yep.
How much better is this team defensively?
Oh, well, all of a sudden you've got in Valančiūnas a guy that can protect the rim. I mean, let me know who they've had that can really kind of protect the rim.
Right.
They've got a guy that can protect the rim a little bit. I think that you have picked up. There's no elite defenders in this group, but there are capable, better than average defenders in this group. So yes, I think that they are a better team defensively. Cam Johnson is a much better defender than Michael Porter Jr.
I think they're better defensively by default when you look at their bench. So what do I mean? Let's say, for the sake of argument, David Adelman decides, I'm taking all my starters off, which is something that Michael Malone never really did. Okay.
No.
I'm going to throw out there Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, and Valančiūnas. I'm going to throw out those 5 guys. Okay?
Sure.
When you throw out Peyton Watson last year, you're thinking, well, who's going to score from the bench? And Peyton Watson probably felt, well, I got to do something. And you're like, please don't shoot. Right. No, please, no. Okay. Now, for Peyton Watson, he doesn't have to shoot.
No.
Because you can get scoring from Valančiūnas. You can get scoring from Brown. You can get scoring from Hardaway. And you should be able to get scoring from Strawther. So now you have options. So the guys who do play well defensively that have shortcomings in their offensive game, you can highlight them defensively and say, don't worry about scoring.
You have potentially in that second group now, in Valančiūnas, Bruce Brown, you've got 2 really pretty good defenders, pretty good proven defenders.
Yep.
And Hardaway can defend, certainly. And we don't know about Daron Holmes yet, but but Daron Holmes is big, long, athletic.
Yeah.
He was a defensive player at the college level.
Right.
And can that equate to the next level? By the way, I haven't seen the summer roster yet. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. I would be stunned if Daron Holmes isn't on that roster. Correct. And that becomes automatically the reason to watch summer basketball for the Denver Nuggets.
Right. And by the way, there's so many different combinations that Adelman has. Let's say he wants to throw out a defensive lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Jokic is obviously going to be out there. Gordon, defensive lineup. Cam Johnson, defensive lineup. And you can throw Bruce Brown out there for defense. So you have that. You have those 3 guys that can all play pretty. So now you can mix and match, where you go into your closet and you look at the Garanimals and say, oh my God, I have 4 tops that I can match with this elephant bottom with my elephant tops. There is a lot more potential mixing and matching. Anything you want to close with before we run?
No, absolutely not. The latitude that David Adelman has as a coach is probably it's not it hasn't been talked about a lot, but it is the biggest. At the end game of all of this is, how have you changed your roster for the better? And this was not a particularly good defensive roster. Now they're, I think, a better than average defense.